Welcome to the Mental Playbook Podcast. I'm here with Elias Gerald, a two-time Pac-12 high jump champion for USC track and field and an NCAA All-American. Hi, Elias. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm a little under the weather today, so excuse my voice. I'm a little congested, but
Me too. Me
besides that,
too.
besides that, I'm doing swell. Good way to kick off the weekend. So,
Awesome. So, how did you first get into track and field and especially lean towards high jump?
okay, origin story. I started doing track and field. I started out my first sport that I ever really fell in love with was basketball, right? Basketball's, winter, spring. So when winter and spring, when basketball season was over, I wouldn't have much to do. My neighbors, back in my hometown, happened to own a track club, like a local track club.
Oh, wow.
They ran it through the high school. And my parents were really good family friends with them, right? So they were like, "Hey, you should sign up your kids for the track club this year." And they were like, "You know what? Sure, why not? Give them something to do, right? Because we had nothing to do in like the summer." So we signed up for the track club in the summer, and that was when I was probably in like fourth grade about that time. Yeah,
Oh,
about fourth grade. So I first started track there, and my neighbor was my coach. I just did simple events like the 100, 200, and long jump, just a beginner in track. And we really liked it. My family had a great experience with it, mostly because, we were really connected with the coach. And that's how I started doing track and field. I didn't start high jumping until I was in ninth grade, a freshman in high school. And that was because at the middle school level, they didn't have some of the events that I was, familiar with. So growing up with the track club, I did long jump, the hurdles, which was like short, it was like 80 meters. Um, and those are like my two events. We're just long jump and the hurdles.
oh.
So when I got to the middle school level, they didn't have hurdles for some reason. I don't know why, they just didn't have it. So I would go to a track meet, I'd do long jump, and then I'd sit like the whole time. I wouldn't do anything. I was sitting in the stands with my mom one day after a track meet, and I, did my long jump because long jump's always like one of the first events to do. So I'm sitting just waiting, for like all my teammates to finish so I can go home. My mom was with me and she was like, "You should try high jump one of these times," because we're sitting in the stands and like we're just watching the high jump. And it's literally taking place in like a parking lot. Like it was the most unorganized like track meet ever. So kids are like in their basketball shoes, like just high jumping in a parking lot. They had like the mat set up and everything. So she was like, "You should go try high jump sometime." I was like, okay. I mean, it's better than just sitting here doing nothing. So I go over to my coach. I'm like, "Hey, can I sign up for high jump?" He's like, "Sure, I don't care. Just go for it. Just make sure you're done before like the bus leaves." I'm like, "Bet." So I go, um, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up? My name's Elias. I have like my tennis shoes and everything." I'm like, "Can I try high jump?" And they're like, "Sure." And so I go and I'm like talking to the kids and whatnot. And like, "How do I do this?" And they're like, "Oh, you just kind of like run and jump over the bar. I don't know. It's like my first time too, whatever. We're all in middle school." I go and I win the competition at like I don't know. I was like probably like seventh. I was like a freshman in high school at that time, right? I was like, okay, shoot. Well, I won, and so we're doing like the ribbon ceremony. Um, at like the next practice, when they hand out all the ribbons to like all the kids that like won their events, and they're like, "Oh, this must be a typo." It says Elias, you won high jump. I had one long jump the same meet, so like I guess they just mixed up the ribbons. I was like, "Nah, like I actually won high jump." They're like, "You did?"
No
I was like,
way.
"Yeah." And they were like, "Wait, let's train you. Like you won. Like that's like really good. We could like use you for regional points or whatever." I was like, "Okay." And that's how I started doing high jump. And I just did it ever since. And I hadn't to have a pretty natural knack for it. So,
Awesome. And did you continue basketball in high school as well?
ooh, I um I wanted to. So my story is I obviously loved both sports with a really strong passion. And my freshman year I did track, I did high jump for the first time, whatnot, did really good. Won like district or something like that. And I had played on the freshman team my freshman year, right? And the coach was terrible. Coach was horrible. Like But he was the local school janitor, who was also like the basketball coach. And he was just a hothead. Like we would go to the locker room in halftime, and if we weren't up by like 20 points, he would have something like to say to us. Like he'd be upset, like really upset. And he'd like throw his clipboard and whatnot. And I was like, this is terrible. Like if this is what high school basketball is like, then like low key, I don't want a part of it. Like this sucks. Like 6 a.m. practices, we're getting yelled at 6 in the morning, for not running the right plays or something like that. Like I don't know. Like we're still young. Like
Yeah.
we're a new team. Like we haven't played with each other. Like we're just still trying to like figure out chemistry or whatever. Point is, I was like, if this is high school basketball, I don't want any part of it. So I stopped. I didn't try out my sophomore year. But apparently, like the freshman year coach like sends the recommendations for players to like the next level, like the JV, varsity level. And I was one of the players they recommended. But I didn't show up to tryouts that year because obviously I was like, I don't want to play basketball. So I just did track, because I like track. I love the coach, everything. It was a great experience. And so people around school were asking me like, Elias, why didn't you try out for the basketball team this year? Why didn't I was like, dude, I didn't like my freshman year experience was terrible. But I'll play my junior year. I'll play my junior year. Junior year comes around. I show up to tryouts. Everyone's like, oh, sweet, good to have you back, right? Day one of tryouts comes, day one of cuts. Coach pulls me into the office. Elias, come here. Okay. So I go inside the office, varsity coach, the whole staff's there. Oh yeah, obviously, like, you're a talented player, Elias. We just wanted to ask you, like, why didn't you play with us last year? Like, why didn't you try out? Oh, I didn't have a great experience my freshman year, so I just kind of wanted to step away from it a bit, just kind of focus on track and whatnot. He's like, okay, so why are you back? You're like, well, because I love basketball, and I love, these are all my friends. I played with them for a while, and I just want to play again. He's like, okay, well, we feel like you're going to be a year behind because you didn't play last year and whatnot. And I was like, what? We run the same plays as the freshman year team. I don't know. Like that doesn't make sense. Anyways, it just seemed like they were just trying to find like a way to like let me down slowly. So I was like, all right, whatever. Like, cool. If they don't want me, I don't want them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, screw it. I'll just do track my junior year. Junior year, I have like a breakout season. I break the state record in high jump. I win high jump in state. I win long jump state, and I get like third or fourth in hurdles. So like, I'm a show out player up for like a ton of awards. And at the awards banquet, like the athletics awards banquet at the end of the year, I get like a couple awards, right? The basketball coach and the entire team walks up to me like after the banquet and he puts his hand on my shoulder, right? He's like, Elias, just want to say congrats, for a great track season and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, thanks, coach. I appreciate it. He's like, well, I was talking to the guys and they had told me like how, you're a great player and they'd want to have you on the team. So I wanted to extend you a spot on the team. You can come in and we could sub you in, and you can get your dunks and whatnot. And I was like, what? Like, what am I like a highlight reel here or something? Am I was means of buying tickets? Like I don't get it. And he's like, yeah, we just want to offer you a spot on the team. You can come in and play. When we're up, and you can just go and put on your dunk show. I was like, okay, so that's just weird. Like, okay. So I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to play for you, dude. And he was like taken back by that, like what? I was like, nah. Like you're being weird, dude. Like I'm not gonna be your circus act. I'm like that's so odd.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing basketball and I wish I could have still played. I still love basketball. I wonder where it could have taken me, but I don't regret my decision. I'm very grateful for what track has done for me and whatnot, and very blessed to say where I'm at today with track. So,
Yeah, good for you. And I think what's meant to be is meant to be, and seeing how far you've come that's pretty awesome.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you were a standout in high school, breaking records and winning national titles. I want to know, what did this early success teach you about pressure and preparation, especially for college?
Ooh, okay, good question. So, I would say my first ever big meet, like big meet, I got invited to Nike Indoor Nationals, my senior year. I had jumped, what was it? I believe I had jumped like 7'2" at the time. I broke the indoor state record. It was the current nation leading mark. And I got an email and it was like, we want to fly you out to like Nike Indoor Nationals. I was like, seriously? Like that's crazy. Like they're gonna fly me out to compete for track. Like I had never heard of this before. Like I rarely even traveled for sports. So for somebody to like offer me an opportunity to travel for sports is crazy. So that was my first ever big competition. I flew out to New York from Utah, competed, and it was my first big stage, right? And I would say that like for me, I think it helped me starting like at a younger age, kind of competing at high levels like that. It helped me kind of develop the mentality of like how to perform under pressure. Because obviously being in college, it's a higher stage, there's higher stakes, and like there's like, the conference level, the regional level, the national level in college. And so I would say that the national competitions adequately prepared me just to kind of like figure out how to handle nerves when I was young. I was able to figure out like how to handle emotions and how to handle pressure because pressure, like they say, pressure makes diamonds, but pressure can also, cause things to collapse. And so it's how you handle pressure that overall creates, the outcome of your pursuit. And there were a few times where I even learned from other sports like basketball, or I did taekwondo. I did that at a national level when I was younger as well. I went to nationals for sparring in taekwondo. And at a very young age, I feel like I learned how to handle pressure in sports. Um, and I think that the number one key to handling pressure is self-control is you can get a lot of energy. When I'm at nationals and the crowd's hype and I'm starting a clap or something like that, there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere. That's really, you can use that to your advantage, but if you don't know how to control it, it's a problem. Like if you have too much energy, obviously it can expel in other areas. So being able to capture energy and contain it and control it, I feel like is the key to high pressure situations. And I think I learned that from a lot of sports, but definitely at um, the major level of track at a young age.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you do both indoor and outdoor high jump. Is there a difference between those two?
I actually get this question a lot more than I think, but yeah, there's not a crazy difference in indoor and outdoor high jump. The major difference is just like, again, the environment, like just being outside versus inside. The sport itself is the exact same. For other events in track, like the indoor track, instead of it being a 400, for indoor, it's a banked 200. So the format, the layout of the track is different. But for high jump, since we're not on the track, that doesn't really affect us. The surfaces can be a little bit different just because, an indoor track is built a little bit differently than an outdoor track.
Yeah.
But again, that's like the only difference. The sport itself, the integrity of it is the exact same, rules the exact same. People ask me, what do I prefer, indoor and outdoor? I prefer outdoor because when the weather's good, I think it's a better environment than an indoor environment. Now, I have performed my best. My PRs have been set indoors, but I like outdoor more because where I'm from in Utah, we had very, very little like an indoor track scene. Like there was like maybe one or two meets in an entire year for
Wow.
indoor track. Yeah. So I would say that there's not much of a difference, but in my preference, I prefer outdoor track just because that's what I'm used to. And that's truly what track is. When people think track, they think outdoor track,
Yeah.
I don't think indoor track, you
Yeah.
know? So I think that's why I like outdoor track more too.
Yeah, awesome. What are the skills you think a person or athlete needs to participate in track or specifically high jump?
Hmm. Let me think here. Okay, to mental aspects specifically,
Both mentally and physically.
mentally and physically. Okay. Mentally, you need to be able to perform under pressure. You need to be level-headed. I would define it as the term mental fortitude. You must absolutely have mental fortitude to perform at a high level in track, and I'll explain why. So in the sport of high jump, obviously, the way it works is different than like a lot of the other events. What they do is it's almost like it's a winner take all. They set a bar up at a starting height, which it can vary at each meet, but they have the starting bar, and they're like, okay, you have 3 attempts to clear the bar, and if you don't clear it, you're out. And if you clear it, the bar goes up, right? And so it's basically I kind of think of it as like a last man standing, right? And so immediately a lot of people think like it's you versus like, the opponent's the field. That is true. But in actuality, your true opponent is the bar. And the bar, as it goes up mentally, you see it go up. It starts reaching these heights where you see it. I'll be in a competition. I'll look at a bar and I'll have to be like, I'll have to convince myself, even though a bar is a full foot above my head, I have to convince myself, like, yeah, I can jump over that.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing. That's hard. Like, a lot of people don't look at, like, you have to look at a bar and be like, I am physically capable of jumping over that bar. Because I'll tell you what, the second you think that you can't do it, you're not going to jump it. I swear. Like, the second, oh, the slightest bit of doubt, like, dude, I don't know, enters your mind, might as well not even take the approach because you will not make the bar. I've seen this so many times. I've seen it at so many levels. I've seen it with a different array of athletes. The second that you see somebody waver mentally, they're not going to clear the bar because unless you've made the bar up here, you can't tell your body's not going to be able to produce because your mind tells your body what it can do. And if your
Right.
mind's telling yourself you can't do it, you're not going to be able to do it without a doubt. So I'd say that's the first thing is mental fortitude. You have to be very resilient and you have to almost have a little bit of like, I would say an ego, but a lot of confidence. You have to tell yourself and really believe that you can jump that bar because anybody can tell themselves that, but I
Yep.
really can believe that. You have to be able to believe you can do it. All right, that's very important. Um, you have to be a competitor, I would say, mentally. You have to be a competitor because you're going to have other people, the bar's going to be really high, and there's going to be a lot of pressure in the field. And somebody's going to clear the bar, and like the crowd erupts, right? And then like they're celebrating because the height is really high. Now it's your turn, right? And that bar, you may be thinking about what's the best I've ever done in my entire life? Like what's my PR? Like what is it relative to my best performance? You have to be able to be like, okay, forget all that. In this moment, I'm going to clear the bar. That takes a lot of mental capacity, I would say. I think most people would agree with me when I say that the most mental event in track and field is high jump, if not pole vault. Because pole vault is the exact same thing. Like the approach, the format of the event is the exact same, except for the fact that like obviously like you're running with the pole, right?
Yep.
The technique is different, but the same rules and same principles apply. Like almost to like a greater extent too, because obviously like the bar for pole vault will be as high as a literal building. And then you have to tell yourself, I'm gonna throw myself over that. That's crazy. That's like actually crazy. So like, I have a lot of respect for pole vaulters as well. But yeah, so mental fortitude, confidence are the two mental things I would say. Having mental fortitude and confidence. You got to be a killer. You got to go out in the field and be like, yeah, I'm the best person here. Otherwise, you're just not gonna win. You have to have that confidence. Physically, you gotta People ask me all the time, Elias, how do I jump higher? Elias, how do I jump higher? I hate this question. I hate that question so much. You have no idea. Because it's not simple. There's no one answer that I can give you that is just going to make you jump higher. You'll be like, yeah, but like, what's your workouts? Well, it's different. Every body is different. Like, I can't tell you this workout is guaranteed to work because everybody's different. I can tell you what works for most people, but I can't tell you what's going to be the best for you. But you got to be able to jump high, obviously. Like, you have to have a lot of explosive ability, like fast twitch muscle fibers, right? I feel like I developed a lot of that from Taekwondo at a young age, right? Because I didn't start high jumping like when I was like 5 or 6. Like a lot of the really high level performing high jumpers, they started like young.
Um,
Like my teammate Ezra, he started high jumping, I think, before he was even like 10 years old. I didn't start high jumping until I was like 14. So a lot of it is just having like that physical foundation, which is either built on like basketball or a very like explosive sport, I would say. So you got to be explosive, you got to have mental fortitude, you got to be confident, and yeah, I would say those are probably the three biggest things.
yeah, I like that. So when a bad jump happens, how do you recover from it?
Mm. Hmm. I would say it's hard to recover from a bad jump sometimes because obviously you know how many attempts you have, right? And regionals, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. So the way the regional meet works at the NCAA for high jump is they take the top 12 competitors. Once there's 12 people remaining, they stop the meet, right? And the top 48 in the region, so there's two regions, right? East to west. They take the top 48 jumpers from the East region, the top 48 jumpers from the West region. They both compete in their separate meets. So there's 48 competitors. They can only take 12. So 75% of the people aren't making it. All right. The way it works with high jump and scoring is like you can jump the same height as somebody, but if you did it in less attempts, then obviously you're higher. You're ranked higher. So every attempt matters because if you make everything on the first attempt, you're gold. But if you have a missed attempt, if somebody else is making it on their first attempts, you're getting knocked down, even though you're jumping the same height. So my coach tells me this all the time. You got to clear the first bar. You have to. You got to be able to jump it on the very first time. Because if you don't, then you're playing the long game. Now you got to jump extremely high. Those are the two differences. You have two approaches on how you can really succeed and make it in the top 12 and survive in regionals. You clear everything on the first time, or you jump high as hell. Those are the only two options. Because if you miss a couple bars, I'm mentally telling myself I gotta be prepared to jump something extremely high to make up for that. Right. And when I was at regionals my sophomore year, I remember the opening bar, the bar everybody's supposed to clear. My first attempt, I missed it. And I was like, oh no, I gotta play the long game off rip. Like my strategies changed. Because my freshman year, I didn't miss a single bar. So I qualified for nationals. I did really good. I was like, sophomore year, got to do the exact same thing. First bar, plans foiled. I was like, crap. How do you recover from that? Now I got to change the game plan. Now I got to jump really high. Like, how do I shift? You can't hold on to things, I would say. Like that initial game plan of just making every bar. Like I can still make every other bar after that on my first attempt, but that first one, like that opportunity is over. Okay, so there's no point in dwelling on it. We gotta shift. We gotta refocus, right? So instantly after I clear the ball, after I miss the bar, I can't just like dwell on it. No, because the more time that I think about it, like oh, crap, like oh dang it, that's like less time I have to prepare myself for the next jump. So I missed the bar. Obviously, like you're devastated in the moment, but you can only be devastated for about like 5 or 6 seconds before you gotta like move on and be like, okay, what's next? So I would say the first thing you gotta be able to move on. You have to be very adaptable, right? And you have to, again, control your emotions. Like you could be really upset because if your emotions take over in high jump, your technique's out the window. If you let your emotions run the show, if you let your heart run the show, you're not gonna clear bars. You're not gonna clear bars. You have to let your mind take over and let your mind kind of drive everything, right? Like I said a little while ago, everything starts here. If you don't think you're going to clear your bar up here, your body is not going to clear the bar because this tells this what to do, right? Same thing applies. So when I miss a bar, get over it. All right, what's next? And then what? Learn from it. What did I do? Right? Let's go back. Let's watch video. How did I feel? Okay, we got to make these adjustments. This felt differently than it did in warm-ups. We got to change that, and then we can proceed. So,
Yeah. I'm curious, has there ever been a moment where you considered walking away from the sport?
times I wanted to walk away. Okay, yeah, I can think of one or a few times. Only really like twice. One of them doesn't really count, but one I can definitely name one time. So my freshman year of college, you know, I got recruited by USC. I came here. We were one of the best track programs in the nation, right? Without a doubt. I got plenty of things that can back that up. So I get here, and obviously, like, I wouldn't say track was my second sport, but I also, was a basketball guy. I was also like a track guy. So I was, you know, used to, I wasn't like really big in track training. I wasn't familiar with it. Because when I got here, I remember the meeting at the beginning of the year. I started talking to people like, hi, my name's Elias, I do high jump, whatever. I started talking to these people. I'm like, these guys are like track heads. Like they were born, raised, spoon fed. Like the second that they could walk, they were running. Track guys. I was like, dude, I do not like this. That's not me. I'm the dude. I'm like an ex-basketball player, bro. Like I was just doing track for fun, low key, you know? And I get here and these people are like diehard track fans. There's a couple people be like, I've never done another sport. The only sport I've ever done my entire life is track. And I'm like, what? So I get here and fall training comes around, right? I've never done a fall training for track. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it entails. Dude, the way that it hit like a semi truck when I first got here. The fall training was brutal. Cause like I would run at track practice, like sure. But a collegiate level workout was at a different level. I was like, oh my gosh. And on top of that, having to you're waking up at 8 a.m. on your own, having to go to class. All right. You're like collegiate level courses, prestigious academic courses, my mind is like, oh my gosh, I gotta, like, this is crazy. Go from that, boom, right to practice. Doing practice, I'm running my tail off. You're not done yet. Now we got weights. I didn't really lift a lot in high school. I'm not gonna lie. At my high school track program, we would lift once a week, maybe twice, like earlier in the season. So I'm doing these Olympic level lifts, which are like, hang cleans. I've never done a hang clean in my entire life. Like power snatches. I've never done a power snatch in my entire life. So I'm doing these weights, right? And my weights coach is like, your technique is terrible. Lower the weight, do like 20 more reps. I'm doing cleans until 5:30 p.m. Weights was at 3. I'm doing cleans for 2.5 hours. I get home. After a couple weeks of this, I'm like, I might not be cut out for college track, dude. Like, I come home, I got homework, I'm tired, I'm hungry. Like, I'm a pretty strong guy mentally. I would say I'm pretty, because of high jump, because of sports and whatnot, my background, I feel like I'm pretty strong. At a certain point, I was like, dude, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think I'm gonna survive. I got 4 years of this. I might be toast. like genuinely. And I was like, nah, dude, what would your parents think? You can't fold your first semester of college. Are you serious? Gotta power through. So I powered through. I have the worst season of my entire life. Oh, it was so bad. I wasn't jumping nearly as high. I jumped 7'2" in high school. I was jumping like 6'6", 6'8", all these low numbers, and I'm at a program where they're expecting you to like perform. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with me? This isn't me. Like, I'm not jumping as high as I used to. I'm like exhausted. It's just, is it too much? Is it too much? Did I bite off more than I could chew signing to this school? And I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I'm like, I'm a little religious. I'm praying. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm trying the craziest of things to somehow fix what's happening. I'm like, I gotta perform. I'm not performing. I'm trying to keep up with this regimen. I can't keep up. And I'm just trying to stick with it. And the whole reason I'm staying with it is just because, like, I'm like, well, my parents think if I like drop out of college, like immediately. I stick with it. And I would say one of the best things that happened to me was being able to qualify for nationals my freshman year. Because that made me feel this big sense of relief, like, hey, I did it. It was hard. I'm 18 years old and I'm competing with like the top athletes in the nation. Like I actually did it after a terrible indoor season, after brutal fall training. I was able to do it. And I'm so thankful that I was able to do that because if I wasn't able to do that, I don't know where I would be like mentally. I'd be like, dude, I maybe college track wasn't meant for me, but I was able to do that. And that helped me so much. Um, and that was, yeah, I would say that was the one time I really thought I was going to be done. But thankfully, I stuck with it and I was able to, make it up. So
Yeah. No, that's good. Um, do you appreciate fans in the stands, or does that add too much pressure?
I love fans in the stands. Oh, some people don't. So I get why you asked the question. My senior year of high school at state, we were having a jump off. This is when I set my, no, not senior year, junior year. My junior year of state, I'm having a jump off. That's where I set the state record. It was me and this other kid. We both cleared 7 foot. It was one of the craziest competitions ever. When I would go up, I'd be clapping. There was no track event, so everybody's watching. It's the state track meet. Everyone is watching. The entire stands is full. There's people lined up around the side. The announcer's obviously like on point, talking about every little thing that's going on, talking about the records that are going to be broken and whatnot. Everyone's watching. I'm hyping up the crowd. When he goes, I could tell that like people started clapping for him and he kind of shook his head. And I was like, he doesn't want it.
Mm.
So, he was kind of like trying to silence the crowd, but like they were so excited about the meet, they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So I had to step in. I was like, yo, guys, like, that's not his thing. Like, he doesn't like that. He likes the silence. So I get it. Some people do like the silence. You'll see it in the high jump. Some people start to clap, some people don't. I'm the guy that likes the crowd. I like the clap. I like the energy because I feed off of it, right? Because it's a powerful tool to
Yeah.
feed off the energy. It's just being able to control it. That's what you need to do. As long as you can control it, contain it, it's a beautiful tool to use. So I love having people in the stands. I love getting people hyped because it helps me. It helps me perform. And when I perform, the crowd's happy because, oh, I did something good. So I like the crowd.
Yeah. Do you have a role model or someone you look up to?
Hmm. Just in general, not
Yeah.
specifically for high jump.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. Hmm. I want to say role model that I look up to. Um, I'd say there's two prominent figures in my life that I look up to that I try to model myself after. Um, and that would be my father, and my grandfather. Um, I know it's kind of a cheesy answer, but they really the the father figures in my life have been so amazing for my development, not as an athlete, but also just as a person. I feel like they've been able to uh help get me to where I'm at today, 100%, because of their time and generosity and their involvement in my life. I'm very thankful for both of them so much. I found my passion for sports through my grandpa. My grandpa loves sports. He did almost every sport ever growing up. He always texts me about my meets every time, asking me how it went. He's always coming. He's flying out to all my meets. He's one of my biggest supports. But, he also is my role model in that like he has like had a lot of success in his life as well. So I try to model my character off after him as well. My dad, obviously, I'm really close with. Um, he's huge. Um, he's one of my best friends actually. We just talk like we're homies. It's so cool. It's a very very big blessing to have, I would say. Those two are really important to my life. I wouldn't be where I'm at without either of them. So,
Yeah. And I think it's really crucial to have a support system like that that's close to your heart because, not everyone has that. And I think it's really important. And I'm sure it does affect your performance, whether it's on or off the track.
absolutely.
So you're already a top athlete, but do you have any other interests off the track?
Ooh, I do. I do. So, I like to do a lot of things. I'm a really big hobbyist, so I just like to fill my time with just stuff. So one of my big hobbies, a lot of people know before, is I ride motorcycles. So I like to um, ride street bikes, and I'm learning how to not necessarily race them, but like how to like learn driver skills and whatnot. So like I go to the canyons. I have a PlayStation with a motorcycle racing simulator. So like I'll go and I'll like play that, try to like set new best times and whatnot. So that's something I'm really passionate about. I skate, not as much anymore because my coaches don't want me to like do something that'll hurt myself. So I used to skate a lot. I don't really skate as much anymore. Um, what else? Again, basketball. Like there, there's nothing that you could do that would take away that would stop me ever playing the sport of basketball. Oh my goodness. No amount of money could make me stop playing basketball ever. I love basketball so much. So I do that as well. Um, I'm also in the works of trying to jumpstart like a modeling career as well. So there was this magazine that I was able to be a part of with USC track and field. So they it was crazy how it happened. I just got an Instagram DM and they're like, "Hey," it's from a casting agency saying, "Hey, um, there's this photographer that wants to do um like a shoot of like sports in motion or fashion in motion." So we wanted to get like some track athletes competing in like their events, but wearing like these high fashion get-ups like Louis Vuitton, Fendi, Prada, all this stuff. And I was like, wait, dude, that sounds so cool. Like I want to do it. And I went on and we took photos and whatnot. And I had so much fun. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I want to do this. He's like, yeah, you should totally like look into like starting a modeling career. I was like, 100%. This is like so much fun. So I'm working on getting that started. I'm signing with a modeling agency soon. So I'm hoping to get represented and do that as well. But yeah, I could go on and on, but I have a lot of hobbies.
Yeah,
So
no, that's awesome. That's really cool that you want to get into modeling.
thank
Uh,
you.
what are you studying at USC?
Right now I'm in the Annenberg School, so I study communications, and journalism. I have a minor in sports media productions. So I want to be a sports broadcaster
Awesome.
when I grow up. Yeah. So I want to be a sports personality. The NBA on TNT is one of the best shows to ever air on national television. I firmly believe that. It's so entertaining, dude. All those guys, freaking Chuck and Shaq, and
Yeah.
they're hilarious. So I want to be just like them. I want to uh, be a sports broadcaster. So that's what I'm currently studying. Yeah, sports media productions. I hope to also dabble in film a little bit as well, because that's what my dad did. He's in the film industry. So, I grew up around cameras my entire life. Um, and that's just something that I'm kind of fond with. So I took like my passion for sports and I took like my background in like camera and cinema and kind of like combined the two. And that's where I was like, oh yeah, okay, I want to be a sports broadcaster. So that's why.
That's so cool. Awesome. So I want to know, what is your overall mental playbook that keeps you going?
What is my overall mental playbook that keeps me going? Okay, what are my best plays? What are my best mental plays? Oh, hmm. Ooh, I would say, you know, one of the big things is being able to combat burnout. I was actually learning this in one of my sports classes. You'll get that a lot, especially in times like this where it's the end of the semester or it's like towards the end of the school year and you just want to be done and it's starting to get warm outside and you're like, oh my gosh, like I just want to go out and
Yeah.
have fun. Being able to combat burnout is something that I feel like everybody needs to learn, especially as a student athlete, because you can burn out really quick, whether that's your sport or academics. It's really easy to catch burnout. Uh, One of the mental plays that I like to do to combat burnout. Um, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, you just need to like time off helps a lot. I feel like that's true, but it's really easy to get caught up in the time off.
Yeah.
Like, because like you'll be like taking these breaks and you're like, oh, it's so much more freeing than like having to do my homework and do my paper, go to practice, all this stuff. It's really easy to just find yourself only doing that and then just like ignoring like the other things you have to do. I feel like the best way to combat that from happening, where like you just kind of like disregard everything else, um, is to have a good support system, kind of like what you said earlier. Having a good connection with like a couple friends that know the ins and outs of your life, someone that you're able to talk to that's like, hey man, like I got these papers and one of them's like already overdue and I got this exam I'm studying for and it's just I don't feel like I'm gonna pass. To be able to have somebody that's supportive of you that you can also support as well. Like this little symbiotic relationship where I can be like, hey, life's kind of sucking right now. And they can be like, oh, that's all good, dude. Like, let me motivate you. Let me give you some let's go study together, like providing solutions. Get you some friends that provide solutions. That, my friend, is the secret to combating burnout and having success in college. Get your friends that provide solutions because I will say I've had some friends that are like, all right, let's just go to the library, bring your laptop, we're studying. Like, let's go. And I was able to get assignments done that I would have 100% not done if it weren't for them. So be those friends, build on top of each other, find those people that help provide solutions. I would say that's a good play to call up. It's a good play to draw. Having good teammates is important. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it'll keep you on your toes for sure.
100%.
So how do you want to be remembered at USC? Like, what is the legacy you want to leave?
Ooh, I don't know if I've ever been asked this question.
Oh, nice.
Huh. Hold on, let me think about this. I never really thought about this, but what legacy do I want to leave? Hmm. I want to be known as a team player. I want to be known as a person that contributed to like the track and field legacy here. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want, I feel like instead of just how do you want your name to be remembered, I think a good starting point is just having your name being remembered.
Mm. Yeah.
I think that's what I want. I think I just want to do something that entails me being remembered. Because I feel like anything that I do, given my pursuits, given that I do track, right? Anything that I do in that regard will be a positive thing. Like if I get remembered at USC, it would be a positive thing if I'm, on pursuit with track and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I could just, yeah, I want to be known as like a team player. I want to be known as like when someone's like, oh, Elias, oh, he was a cool guy. Like he was very open and friendly. Like that's what I want to be recognized as. I don't want to be recognized as like the superstar. I don't want to be recognized as the guy that did it all. I don't want to be recognized like I want to be recognized as like obviously like good. Like oh yeah, he was like really good too. But I want to be recognized as like, oh yeah, he was a good person. That's what I want to be recognized as. I want to be like, yeah, Elias was awesome. Like he was so open and friendly to talk to. Like that's what I want to be recognized as.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, because a lot of times athletes can get so focused and on their sport, and make that kind of their identity. So I think it's really important to build, a personality identity off of that. And yeah.
Hmm.
So I want to know if a younger athlete asked you for your best advice on handling pressure, staying confident on and off the track, what would you tell them?
Young athletes' advice on how to handle pressure on and off the track.
Mhm.
I would say the best advice I could give. Um, hmm. Here's the thing. I think about it. I think they're different. I think the way you handle pressure on the track is different than how you handle pressure off the track. There's not one all-encompassing way. There's no secret formula to handling pressure in all aspects of life. That doesn't exist. I think that when you're on the track, the way to handle pressure is to feed off of it. I think, my coach knows this. If you ask my coach, I feel like I'm this way is when the stakes are high, that's when I tend to perform my best because there's something worth performing for, right? If it's a small meet or if I'm like the only person there or whatnot, chances are I'm not gonna jump a PR just because I feel like there's not like the situation that's gonna permit it. When the lights come on and everybody's watching, that's when people tend to shine the brightest because that's when the lights are on. I think that for young athletes, what you need to do, put yourself in environments to, again, everything's just repetition. Just like how do I consistently jump 7 feet? Repetition. I practice jumping 7 feet over and over and over again. How can you perform under pressure? Practice over and over again. Put yourself in situations where there's pressure, right? Go against hard opponents, right? Like if you're a JV jumper, ask to jump at the varsity meet. Things like that. Like put yourself in scenarios where performance is expected. And look, you're not gonna do it every time. That's the point of practicing. Like you're not gonna be able to perform when it matters the most every time. That's the point of practicing. But every time that I do it at a younger age, I'm sharpening my tools. I'm getting better. So that when I'm at an older age, I have so many reps of performing under pressure, my percentage is just a lot higher. It's just going to be a lot better. It's simple as that. Off the track, how do you handle pressure? The pressure is different. Life's pressure is different. You got work, you got school, maybe. You got, I don't know, life stresses. You got a relationship that's, kind of rocky, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. How do you handle those pressures? It's a different approach. I feel like you don't want to put yourself in those situations. Don't do that. Like, don't purposefully procrastinate your major group project so you can put yourself in more pressure situations. Don't do that. The way to handle pressure situations is trying to find I would say, find what the root causes of those are and fight those. So they're almost polar opposites. One of them is finding pressure situations to compete at. The other one is staying away from pressure situations, finding what starts them and then fighting those. Like, okay, so you're in a pressure situation because you're running late to work and it's like your fourth time running late to work, and on your fifth time you're fired. Well, why am I late to work? Oh, well, it's because, I get home from school and I go play Xbox for like an hour before I go. Well, maybe play Xbox after work or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think the difference to handle situations, pressure situations off the track, is to just avoid them entirely. Find out what starts those pressure situations and fight them when they're small, when they're little seedlings, before it blossoms into something bad?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So my last question for you is what matters most to you? The destination, the journey, or the company?
You have the coolest questions of all time. Oh my goodness. Do you have, I want to ask a few questions myself. I'll answer this one real quick. This is a short one too.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
do you see yourself in the world of like sports reporting at all? Because I feel like you're in this area of sports, but I feel like you'd be really good as like a sports reporter.
I've never really thought about that. I think my mind is set on sports management and all the behind the scenes, but
Mhm.
I do get told a lot that I should be, in the spotlight, and I think that's something I would consider, but it just seems scary?
Yeah, it can be. Um, but I think you seem like you could definitely adapt into it as well. So I
Thank
was
you.
just curious because
Appreciate that.
I was like these questions are really good. Like you're getting a good story out of it because in my sports commentary class we were talking about how to get the story, and I was like, she's asking these questions that are like really aligned with like what they're telling me in class about sports reporting. So I was
Awesome.
just like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, what was the question again? What was the
So, what's most important to you? The destination, the journey, or the company? And why?
that is such a good question, dude. Oh my goodness. Like the destination, the journey, or the company. I think say it one more time and then I'll know exactly.
Okay.
Say it one more time.
What matters most to you? The destination, the journey, or the company?
Okay. I think I have my answer. What matters most to me is the journey. What's the most valuable? The company. What's your motivation for doing it? The destination. So to answer your question, I would say the journey is what matters most to me because that is everything. The journey includes the destination. Like that's your road to making it there, right?
Yeah.
You have like the destination is just a continuation of the journey, right?
Right.
Journey includes your company, right? Like whoever you're bringing along is a part of the journey, right? Sometimes you don't bring people along. I did think about that. I was like, what if you're just in the lab by yourself, your 6 a.m. workouts, it's just you. There's sometimes you don't have the company, but that's what makes it so valuable. Is like, let's say you do have the company,
Mhm.
you do have a 6 a.m. workout partner. That's so like I cannot stress how valuable that is to have somebody alongside you. That is amazing. That's why I like that this question so much, is because it covers all these aspects.
Yeah.
I think the journey again is the most important just because that's your story, right? The journey the journey is never linear. I told this to one of my friends. I was at nationals. I was competing. There was a friend of mine who was a freshman. I'm a junior, competing at nationals, indoor nationals. He didn't perform the way he wanted to, so I pulled him aside. I'm like, hey, dude, look, progress is not linear. Never is. Okay. My freshman year, heck, my freshman year indoor, I jumped 6'6". That wouldn't even have been like top 10. I wouldn't even been like top 20, 30 in high school. Like, what? You made it to nationals. That's huge. Progress does this. It goes up, it goes down. That's the journey. That's what matters, right?
Mhm.
Because how you act when you're up here is equally as important as how you act when you're down here. You know, that's finding the flow, the balance of it all, that the journey, that's what makes you who you are. And I think the journey ends up creating the heroes, the legends, the the those people, you know. So I think the journey is extremely important. But the destination is freaking awesome. I'll tell you that. I'll
Yeah,
tell you
definitely.
that because, well, I mean, look, to be able to do something like this, to win something like this is awesome. Don't get it twisted. The destination is so cool. I don't think people talk about the destination enough because everybody's always like they try to be all heartfelt, like, oh, yeah, the journey is what matters. Dude, the destination is sick. Have you been there? It's awesome. And the cool thing about the destination is not everybody can say that they've been there. And that's what's cool. Everybody has a journey, but not everybody's seen the destination. Not everybody's been to the moon.
Yeah.
So cool. And especially when you have the company, when you have your friends. I short tangent. JC Stevenson, my teammate, won nationals in long jump last year at the outdoor championship. So he has a ring. The USC's men's team as a collective won nationals. Our team won nationals. I didn't even ask him this. JC was like, winning as a team was so much better than winning individually. Like, it doesn't even come close. I was like, seriously? He was like, I would, he's like, if I had to sacrifice my individual championship for a team championship, I would. I was like, wow.
Interesting.
That's so cool. And I think that goes to show you how amazing, like I kind of said earlier, the company is. Everything has value. Everything about it is amazing. Like everything about it's amazing. But again, at the end of the day, the journey is what makes the story. The journey shows everything. So that's what I would say. Great
Yeah.
question.
I love
Great
the
question.
way you answered that. Well, thank you so much, Elias, for joining me. Elias Gerald is definitely a name we're going to remember.
Thank
And
you.
to my listeners, mind strong, game on.
Thank you.